Good morning, Mansfield, and I hope you enjoyed our annual Memorial Day parade. I can't say it's a beautiful day, but it's always a beautiful day when it's not raining on our parade. Thank you for coming out. At this time, I'm happy to introduce Pastor Dave Arruda of Faith Fellowship United Methodist Church to share the opening prayer. Please remove your caps.
Good morning, everyone. I want to just quickly remind you of a piece of scripture, 1 John 3:16, where we talk about what it is to show God's love, and that is to give our lives for each other. And we honor today the men and women that did exactly that. And so let us pray. Dear God, we come to you with multiple of faiths, different places in life and around the world, but we come because a few men and women gave their lives so that we may feel the fruits of their sacrifice, that we may have an open heart and open mind, that because of their sacrifice, that we are able to take every day in a step of liberty because what they offered up. And so we stand here representing many generations from many walks of life. So Lord, I ask that we remember the fallen. Also, we remember the serving. But Lord, I also ask that we come in a time of humanity where that we don't have to add anyone else to the lists of the fallen. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Dave. At this time, for the pledge, I call upon Bristol County District 6 Commander James Morrissey, who belongs to Mansfield VFW Post 3264, to lead us with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, the Mansfield High School Band will perform the national anthem led by their conductor, Matt McGuire. That was wonderful. Thank you very much, Mansfield Band. Good morning, please be seated. Good morning, everyone. I'm Michael Raymond, your town veterans agent, and thank you for taking the time to be here again today. On every last Monday in May, we find ourselves reflecting on those individuals who so bravely risked their life and limb in face of danger. Remember those who left the comforts of home to fight for us, to fight for our freedoms, but never returned. I'm honored to be standing with you commemorating the sacrifices of those military service members who've laid down their lives in service to our nation. I would like to acknowledge any of those among us who may have lost a loved one in the line of duty to our country. Let me just say that our nation has the greatest respect and appreciation for their sacrifices, and we are especially proud to honor them here today. President John F. Kennedy, a World War II Navy veteran himself, once said, "As we express our gratitude, we must never forget the highest appreciation is not to just utter words, but to live by them." The 35th President of the United States charged us to take our appreciation one step further with action, not just words. There's no more relevant time to embrace this quote than on Memorial Day. We can thank and remember those who serve today and also honor them in a way we live our lives every day of the year. I would like to recognize our dignitaries here present, our Parade Marshal, Charlie McClay, Pastor Dave Arruda from Faith Fellowship Church, James Morrissey from VFW Post 3264, from the Mansfield of Honor and also past state president of the VFW Auxiliary, Jerry Rumsis, To my left, your right, our state Senator Paul Feeney, our local representative Jay Barrows, our board chair Michael Trowbridge, remaining to our board Jess Aptowitz, Frank Delvecchio, Neil Ryan, and Steve Schoenfeld. I'd also like to say thank you to our finest, our police chief Ron Sullen, Fire Chief Neil Baldini, and last but not least, Mansfield's veterans. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time I'm proud to present our parade marshal today, Charles Mulcahy. Charlie served as a specialist in the U.S. Army, U.S. Mass National Guard during the years 1963 through 1970, our nation was at war in Vietnam. After his service to our nation, he continued serving our community here and to this day for more than 50 years. Ladies and gentlemen, Charlie Mulcahy.
Thank you. Welcome. The veterans of the Grand Army of the Republic, or former Union soldiers, established Decoration Day on May 5th, 1868, as a time for the nation to honor and decorate the graves of the Civil War dead with flowers and other memorabilia. A few years later, after some discussion, every May 30th was chosen as the date to celebrate the lives and honor those who had died while serving in the military, and the name of the day was now called Memorial Day. It was not until after World War I that the day was expanded to honor all veterans who had died in all wars that soldiers had served in and been killed. In 1976, Memorial Day was declared a national holiday by an act of Congress, and the last Monday in May was designated as the day to be observed by the entire country. One Memorial Day that has a special significance for me was when I was stationed at Fort Gordon in Georgia, and the post had a very impressive ceremony. On that day, I recall speaking with a master sergeant who had served in both World War II and Korea and was still on active duty. And he told me that this day was difficult for him because of all his buddies who were killed in both wars. It was important to him that both the military and the country recognized the sacrifice that was made, and he said this day of remembrance should always be a special day so that no soldier who had died would ever be forgotten. A number of years ago, Royal Patricon, a retired attorney and a former selectman in Mansfield, who had been very active in town government for many, many years, asked if I would stop by his house, because he had a question about a legal matter and thought I could help. After we had concluded our business, I noticed a picture with a flag and a memorial of his son, who had been killed in World War II as the war was coming to an end. He told me that Memorial Day was very important to him, as at the ceremony on the Common here, particularly in the years following the war, he was thankful that those in attendance remembered his son, and it meant a lot to him and his family that his son was not forgotten. Today there's a memorial honoring Royal B. Patricon Jr. at the bridge on Lower South Main Street that crosses 495. Over the years, Mansfield has honored those who died in the service of their country by locating memorial plaques throughout the town, including one at the Mansfield High School recognizing James Albertini, who was killed in action while serving in Vietnam. And on the South Common here, there is the flag memorial for Corey Shea, who was killed in action serving in the Army. Mansfield also honored policeman Walter Langley, who was killed while on duty, with a memorial at the intersection of Copeland Drive and West Street. God bless and never forget those who have died serving the country. In doing so, you will be observing Memorial Day as it was meant to be. And those families who have suffered the loss of a loved one will know that the death of a soldier killed in action or while on duty will never be forgotten. And your participation in today's parade and ceremony is a credit to the town of Mansfield in honoring those who still serve in harm's way and those brave men and women who have made the ultimate sacrifice in defense of our American way of life, which we all cherish. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Charlie. That was very, very nice. I'd also like to point out while we're here the dedication of the 4th annual Field of Honor. I'd like to recognize their committee for doing this wonderful project for the 4th year in a row now. In case you've missed it, which I don't know how you can, it's those 300 flags over in front along the Keats Memorial, all the way leading in front of the police station. Over 300 flags proudly displayed. They put it up 2 weeks before Memorial Day and leave it up all the way through Flag Day. So if you could please give the Field of Honor Committee a round of applause for that. And the committee chairman from the Field of Honor Committee, I'd actually call upon Jerry at this time to please read the Governor Baker's proclamation on behalf of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Jerry.
A proclamation. Whereas, while the nation was still recovering from the horrors of the Civil War, people in cities and towns across the country gathered to honor those Union and Confederate soldiers who had given their lives celebrating the first Decoration Day. And whereas, after World War I, the nation came together again to honor those who had fallen in the service of their country. Renamed Memorial Day, the last Monday in May is when people remember and honor the memory of all the men and women who fought and died in all American wars and conflicts. And whereas, throughout our country's history, thousands of Massachusetts citizens have fought in wars and conflicts to defend our safety and way of life. And whereas, their legacy of patriotism and dedication to country is an inspiration to all Americans. And whereas it is appropriate that all Massachusetts citizens remember the bravery of those who have given their lives so that their sacrifices serve as a reminder of the cost of our freedom. Now, therefore, I, Charles D. Baker, Governor of Commonwealth of Massachusetts, do hereby proclaim May 28, 2018 to be Memorial Day. Signed, Charles D. Baker, Governor of the Commonwealth, and Karen Polito, Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Terry. At this time, I'm happy to introduce Tim Vernon, who will now be singing God Bless America.
Storm clouds gather far across the sea. Let us swear allegiance to a land that's free. Let us all be grateful for a land so fair, as we raise our voices in a solemn prayer. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans wide reform. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Thank you very much, Tim. That was very nice. At this time, I invite Mansfield's board chair, Michael Trowbridge, to please say a few words.
Good morning. Morning to you all, especially our veterans present here today. Congratulations to our Parade Marshal, Charles Mulcahy, who I've had the pleasure of knowing for probably close to 40 years. Nobody could be honored that would make me feel this morning as well as I do. I mean, I didn't know who the Parade Marshal was. I didn't know what the itinerary was. And to see somebody who's put so much into this town like Charlie has was very warming. On behalf of the town, of Mansfield and its residents and the Board of Selectmen, greetings. Attending today is Vice Chairman Jess Aptowitz, Selectman Frank Delvecchio, Selectman Neil Ryan, Selectman Steve Schoenfeld. I'm extremely grateful to see a number of you here who have joined us today to recognize the ultimate sacrifice of our veterans and their families. We thank you for all that you have done. There's a song I think that everyone's familiar with by Lee Greenwood, Proud to be an American. 2 lines out of that song summarize how I feel, and I know most of you here do. I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. When you look around the town and you see the flags displayed, you feel that sense of pride. We know the price that was paid to display those flags. Those don't get done overnight and by magic. There are many people to thank that volunteer their time. People like Lou Giovino, our Graves Registration Officer, who make sure the flags are up in the many cemetery plots around our town. Our scouts who volunteer, Boys and Girl Scouts, who help replace those flags. Our American Legions, VFW, Mansfield Elks, Garden Clubs, the DPW who help keep our monuments looking great. Our South Common is especially decorated at this time. No one drives by this field of honor without feeling a sense of pride, sadness, yet patriotism. Our Field of Honor Committee, who recently held their 4th annual Field of Honor, I'm going to go through and say their names again. I know they've already been mentioned, but I think they really need to be said. Our Project Chair Fundraiser, Jerry Rumses. Co-Chair, Linda Mercia Jansen. PR Chair, Charles Mulcahy and Sean DeVold. Volunteer Chair, Linda Mercia Jansen. Field Coordinator, Michael Kelly. Scholarship Chair, Patty DeBold, in addition to the many volunteers who have helped them. And a special thanks to our quarterback, Michael Raymond, our enthusiastic veterans agent, who helps facilitate all these great things that are happening in town. Thank you all for coming today. I'll turn this back over to Michael Raymond. Thank you.
At this time, I invite our State Representative Jay Barrows to please give his remarks.
Thank you. And what an honor it is to be here today with all of you. It's really an amazing turnout for the town of Mansfield, and it just shows our pride in our community and the folks that made us safe today. Since the year of 1868, Americans have gathered on the last Monday of May to remember those that laid down their lives to preserve the founding principles of this great nation. Today we recognize those who carried the torch of freedom into the farthest corners of the world, and we remember the generations of Americans who selfishly answered our nation's call of duty. We remember what these heroes sacrificed for our country and those who could not defend themselves. We join their loved ones in sharing their loss by honoring those now gone who made the cause for America their choice. More than 1 million guardians and protectors made the ultimate sacrifice to preserve the way of life that we enjoy today. We owe a lasting tribute to these men and women who responded to the call of their country and made it possible for all of us to be here today and to reflect with great pride on America's past, present, and the promise of a future. I'd like to take a moment just to highlight the great work done today by Mansfield's Veteran Service Officer Michael Raymond in preparation for this Memorial Day event. Without his hard work and dedication, this incredible event would not be possible. So thank you, Mike. I hope that each of us will continue to remember all of those who have served and are continuing to serve our country. If you see the name of a fallen soldier in the news, take a moment to say a prayer and to thank a hero and their family. If you happen to see one of our service members in uniform, take a moment to offer your gratitude. These simple acts of kindness mean the world not only to those who serve, but to those who have lost someone that they love. I would like to leave you with a quote from President John F. Kennedy, himself a veteran from Massachusetts. A nation reveals itself not only by the men it produces, but also by the men it honors and the men that it remembers. Thank you, and God bless Mansfield.
Thank you very much, Representative Barrows. Lastly, I invite our State Senator Paul Feeney to share his reflections with us.
Good morning. Wow, Mansfield, you do it right. What an incredible crowd. And I want to pay particular attention to the folks that brought some young people with them, the scouts, families that brought their children. You know, in a world that's so divisive and turn on the news and filled with so much rhetoric, what a teachable moment it is to bring some young people here to remind them what Memorial Day is truly, truly about. So a tip of the cap to you to bring in some young people with us. Through parades, ceremonies, and gatherings this weekend, we remind ourselves and each other that our ability to live our lives as we do, with the hope and promise of a better future for our children and our grandchildren, with the freedom to be who we are and to speak as we wish, with the promise that our life and liberty will be protected at all times. That each of those, hope, freedom, promise, and many other values and ideals that collectively define our nation, are only possible because of the women and men who fought to preserve them. Today, we remember the men and women that at one point left the comfort of our communities and the embrace of their families to fight for those communities and to protect those families, but who never had the chance to feel that embrace one last time. Today, we gather with each other in sincere reverence to reflect on the sadness of loss that made the ultimate sacrifice for each of us. That inherent sadness, however, is not alone and should be matched only with immense gratitude. Gratitude that every generation contains people that are truly men and women for others, who have the courage, conviction, and passion to stand up for our values, to fight for our communities, and to protect our families, and to sacrifice their own lives so that we may live ours in freedom. Please enjoy your Memorial Day. Have a wonderful summer. May God bless the community of Mansfield, our veterans, and the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator Feeney. Now this is probably the toughest part of the ceremony. This is where I'll be reading off the names of Mansfield's veterans that have passed away since Memorial Day last year. This is my third year to be doing this, and it gets tougher every year because the numbers are getting higher and higher because we're losing more and more World War II and Korean War veterans by the day nationwide. Donald Adurio, Richard Buck, Richard Butler Sr., Leroy Cooney, Charles Curtis, Selectman George Dentino, Peter D. Trilio Sr., Giles Dagnazzi, Doug Donahue, John Dunn Jr., Howard Fisk Jr., Frederick Gibbs, Christopher Gookin, Robert Kelly, Beryl Knowles Jr., John Kolkel, Martin Marderosian, Robert Nordbeck, Bernard O'Malley, Michael Padula, Jay Peterson, William Pisecki, Michael Prohodsky, Leo Schleicher Jr., Arlen Shaw, Robert Shaw Jr., Robert Signorilio, Joseph Sparrow Jr., John Strand, John Sullivan Jr., Robert Unger Sr., Leo Vancourt Jr., Donald Vickery, Alan Warkel, Herbert Wheeler, Edgar Whitehouse, and Elmer Zeller. At this time, I call upon the Mansfield Band to please perform taps. Please be seated. As you leave today, I ask that you accept President Kennedy's charge to keep the fallen in your minds and their families in your hearts. For it is their ultimate sacrifices that help keep our country safe and free. As long as we continue to honor veterans with our actions and remember their sacrifices, they will never be forgotten. As we conclude our ceremonies today, I invite everyone to please join us at the Elks, located down the street at 140 North Main Street. That the VFW Post 3264 is happily sponsored the meal, and the Elks has donated their facility. Lastly, I would like to give special thanks to VFW Post 3264, the Mansfield Police and Fire Honor Department Honor Guards, the wonderful Mansfield High School Band, Mansfield Public Works. As you heard earlier, if it wasn't for them, they're the ones who raise and lower the flags every single day all throughout this town. And there's a lot of flags. So I thank them. Because I'm only one man in my office and I could never do it. Boy Scout Troop 17. I can't thank them enough. I don't know if the appropriate term is den mother these days. But Nancy Griffin, who works in the town manager's office, does so much for me. Coordinating with the Scouts, we retired flags the other day. Give them a round of applause. They're the ones who marched in the parade and the ones who stood for the last 45 minutes while we watched the services. So thank you. They also put the flags on the graves at Springbrook Cemetery, Thank you to Boy Scout Troop 51 and the Mansfield VFW for taking care of the flags at St. Mary's Cemetery. And a special thanks to Jim St. John and Kevin Dunphy of the VFW, who went throughout the town and removed all the old wreaths that you see on the memorials and put all the brand new ones up. That's a lot of labor and a lot of work. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank yous are very important, let me just say. To the Girl Scout Troop 80260 for placing the flags on the veterans' graves at the old cemetery over to the left or your right. And also to Girl Scout Troop 78242 for taking care of the veterans' graves flags at the East Street Cemetery, excuse me. At this time, thank you again, everybody, for coming out. This is one of the biggest turnouts I think I've seen. And thank you to the selectmen and representative who handed out over 450 little flags today. We actually ran out, and I'm astonished. I thank them for doing that, and that's a testament to the community of Mansfield for that many people came out today to honor our veterans, so thank you. At this time, I'd like to call upon the Mansfield High School Band to close us out by performing Main Street America. Thank you very much. Be well, be safe, and God bless America.